We gotta move quick. Come on. Run. Come on. Come on.
Hey everyone! Today, we're diving into The Wolfman, 2025, the latest horror thriller from director Leigh Whannell. Is this film a worthy addition to Universal's legendary monster universe? Does it live up to the eerie atmosphere of The Invisible Man, 2020? Or is it just another forgettable horror flick? Let's break it all down together. Before we even get into the movie itself, let's talk about the road it took to get here, because it was a bumpy one. Originally, The Wolfman was supposed to be a completely different movie. Whannell was initially attached, but later stepped down, making way for Derek Cianfrance, The Place Beyond the Pines. At that point, Ryan Gosling was on board, and the project shifted toward a neon-drenched thriller in the vein of Nightcrawler, 2014, where a news anchor slowly transforms into a werewolf. That version never saw the light of day, and Whannell eventually returned to direct a more grounded, atmospheric take. Universal has been trying to revive its classic monsters for years. The ill-fated Dark Universe crumbled after The Mummy, 2017 bombed, but Blumhouse came in to save the day, proving with The Invisible Man that a smaller, more intimate approach could work. The Wolfman follows that same formula: low budget, high tension, and a modern reimagining of an old legend. So, did it work? The story follows Blake, Christopher Abbott, a troubled writer who inherits his father's abandoned estate in Oregon. His marriage to Charlotte, Julia Garner, is already on shaky ground, and he hopes that a trip to the house with his wife and daughter will help them reconnect. But things take a dark turn when an unknown creature attacks Blake, triggering a slow and agonizing transformation into something inhuman. From the get-go, Whannell establishes a thick, brooding atmosphere. Unlike most werewolf movies that lean into body horror or gothic aesthetics, The Wolfman takes a psychological approach. It's not just about a man turning into a beast, it's about the fear of losing yourself and becoming a danger to the people you love. There are echoes of The Shining, 1980, and The Fly, 1986, in how the film explores psychological and physical decay. But there's another layer here, one that Whannell explored in The Invisible Man. The film subtly touches on domestic violence and cycles of trauma, showing how even the best intentions can turn into control and obsession. Unlike The Invisible Man, where the abuser was the clear antagonist, The Wolfman complicates things. Blake is a victim of his own transformation, but that doesn't make him any less dangerous. If you're expecting a jump-scare-filled roller coaster, you might be disappointed. The Wolfman is more about slow-burning dread than outright terror. It builds tension through isolation, eerie sound design, and practical effects that make Blake's transformation feel raw and unsettling. One of the film's standout elements is how it depicts the werewolf's perspective. There are moments where the audience sees the world through Blake's distorted vision, blurry, hypersensitive, overwhelmed by sound. It's reminiscent of David Cronenberg's The Fly, where we experience the horror of transformation firsthand. The practical effects deserve a special mention here. Instead of relying on CGI, the film embraces old-school techniques, making the physical changes feel visceral and painful. Every cracking bone and stretching muscle is felt. That said, if you were hoping for an all-out horror fest, you might find the film a bit too restrained. It's more psychological thriller than full-fledged horror. But does that work in its favor? Well, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's talk about performances. Christopher Abbott is phenomenal. If you've seen him in Possessor, 2020, or It Comes at Night, 2017, you know he excels at playing deeply troubled characters. Here, he delivers a physically demanding performance, capturing both the emotional torment and the monstrous physicality of his transformation. Julia Garner, Ozark the assistant, also deserves praise. Her character starts in the background, but as the story progresses, she takes center stage. She brings a quiet strength to Charlotte, making her more than just a helpless victim. Her arc, going from a woman trapped in a failing marriage to someone who has to fight for survival, is one of the film's strongest elements. However, I do wish the film gave us more insight into their relationship before things went south. We're told they're in crisis, but we don't get many glimpses of what their marriage was like before. A little more emotional groundwork could have made their dynamic even more compelling. Werewolf movies are a tricky genre. For every masterpiece like An American Werewolf in London, 1981, there are a dozen forgettable B-movies. The Wolfman lands somewhere in between. It's a well-crafted, atmospheric take on the legend, but it doesn't redefine the genre. If you're looking for something gory and action-packed like Dog Soldiers, 2002, you might find The Wolfman too slow. If you love psychological horror like The Fly, you'll appreciate its patient storytelling. And if you're a fan of The Invisible Man, you'll recognize Whannell's signature style, claustrophobic tension, a focus on human relationships, and horror rooted in emotional trauma. The biggest letdown? The marketing. Universal kept the werewolf's final form a secret for months, only to reveal it in promo clips right before the release. That took away some of the mystery that could have made the transformation even more shocking. So, is The Wolfman worth your time? Absolutely, if you go in with the right expectations. It's not a mind-blowing reinvention of the werewolf mythos, but it's a well-executed, tense, and visually striking horror thriller. Pros: strong performances from Abbott and Garner, excellent practical effects and transformation scenes, slow-burning psychological horror with emotional depth. Cons: somewhat predictable plot, lacks major horror, set pieces, or shocking twists. Marketing spoiled the werewolf design. Final score: 7 out of 10. A solid, atmospheric horror movie that brings a fresh perspective to the werewolf legend, even if it doesn't fully break new ground. But what do you think? Are you excited to watch The Wolfman? Do you prefer psychological horror or more action-packed werewolf movies? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of horror cinema. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.